Shalom, shalom. Peace be unto all the brothers and the sisters out here keeping this holy day season. When you in the world, you got something called holiday season. Hey, but we're in a holy day season right now, and we're approaching, or we're already in the Feast of Tabernacles, or Feast of Booths, or Feast of Tents. You know what I'm saying? So today we're just going to do a video real quick to edify the nation. If you don't know what the Feast of Tabernacles is, if it's your first time, if it's your second time, if you're just looking for extra edification, but you might be wondering why I'm in a tent right now. And that's because we're in the Feast of Tabernacles, right? So let's address some things, right? Why are we doing the Feast of Tabernacles, right? So let's just jump straight into it. This is Matthew 15. Matthew 15 and 18 reads, but those things which proceed, Matthew 5 and 18. That's what I need. This is the book of Matthew chapter 5 and verse 18. For verily, this is red letter, right? So we know who's speaking here. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. Not one jot or one tittle. So when you go through this book, every I that's dotted, every T that's crossed, guess what? It's not passing until all be fulfilled. And we know that all is not fulfilled because we still waiting on somebody to come back. Right? So with that being said, if not one jot or tittle is passed from the law, we got to go to the law and see what's in the law. Right? It's only right because it's not passed yet. That means we got to take heed to it. Right? So this is the Feast of Tabernacles, Feast of Booths. So let's go to Leviticus 23. If you didn't know, for further education, Leviticus 23 is really your rundown for all the holy days, not holidays, but all the holy days. Right? All the holy days is in Leviticus 23. So Leviticus 23, you skip down to verse 34, and that's going to give you your Feast of Tabernacles, right? Leviticus 23, verse 34. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of this 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord. So it's a feast that's held for 7 days. So, if you usually fast during the week, no fasting this week. This is a feast. You're supposed to be eating. You're supposed to be merry. You're supposed to be remembering, why we keep the Feast of Tabernacles, which we're going to get into today. So I'm going to read that one more time. Leviticus 23:34. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of this 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles. So 5 days after after your Day of Atonement, 5 days after that is your Feast of Tabernacles, right? We know as the nation, different camps, congregations, people, households might keep the feast days on different days, right? So according to your feast days, because we know we can't judge according to Sabbath, new moons, holy days, feast days, as it says in the New Testament. But according to your atonement, count 5 days after that, and that would be your Feast of Tabernacles. All right, because I know some camps starting tonight. I know some camps started Sunday. I know some camps starting next month. You know what I'm saying? But all praises that we're all Israelites. We're all Israel, and we're all keeping these feast days. We're all keeping the commandments, right? So let's get some. Let's backtrack and get some history on the Feast of Tabernacles through the precepts, through the testimonies, right? That's how we get understanding. Let's go to Exodus 20 and 6. All right, because Exodus, right? This real beginner. Exodus is the book after Genesis because Exodus was us exiting, right, our captivity in Egypt. Right. So when we exited our captivity in Egypt, where do we go? We went to the wilderness. Right. We might have to go to the wilderness. We went to the wilderness after Egypt. Right. So were they dwelling in mansions in the wilderness? Did they stumble across 3-story houses in the wilderness? No, not so. What were they in? They were in tabernacles, right? Hey, Jacob was a plain man that dwelt in tabernacles, while Esau was a cunning hunter. We dwelt in tabernacles, tents, booths, right? Which is why I'm in a tent right now. We dwelt in tabernacles, right? So when we was in the wilderness, we had to gather up sticks. We had to gather up brush, leaves, clear out the land, you know what I'm saying, and make tabernacles. So we kind of reflecting on that through this whole Feast of Tabernacles. It's a 7-day feast. On the 8th day is a holy convocation, right? So let's get into it. Exodus chapter 20, verse 6. And showing mercy unto the thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Right. So when we reflect on the Feast of Tabernacles, we remember how when we exited out of Egypt, hey, look, everybody was saved out of Egypt. Everybody that kept his commandments. How did they keep his commandments in Egypt? They kept the Passover. They got the instructions for the Passover. Right. And they kept that law, because we know 1 John 3 and 4. Right. For this is the love of God, that Salakia. 1 John 5 and 4. Salakia. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. So it wasn't grievous for us to keep the Passover, to kill the lamb, to finish eating the lamb. It was, and to do it in haste with the bitter herb. It wasn't hard for us to do so. You know what I'm saying? So they kept the commandments. They showed the Most High that they loved him, and he showed mercy to all of them, young and old. So, as the times are approaching of the last days, as the second Exodus, right? Some people believe we're being beamed up by chariots. Some people believe it's an actual fleeing. Some people believe it's by ships. We're going to get into that later on in this video. But, you know what I'm saying? A second Exodus. Just know, if you keeping the commandments, right, and you keeping these holy days, you're going to be saved. That's love. If you love him by keeping his commandments, he's going to show mercy to you, whether you got a baby, whether you old, whether you young, whether you just new into the truth, whether you old into the truth. You know what I'm saying? He going to take care of you. Nobody was harmed coming out of Egypt. Let's move on, right? Nobody was harmed. So let's go to Psalms 105 and 37. Reflecting on the times in the wilderness. Psalms 105. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 105. What'd I say? And 37. Right? And it reads, he brought them forth also with silver and gold. Hey, when we came out of Egypt, we came out with a mighty hand. When we came out of Egypt, we came out with a lot of spoils. A lot of times when God the Most High put us in situations that were uncomfortable with our enemy, we came out with spoils. So, hey, look, everybody's talking about reparations now with this, black people. And it's not even Israelites talking about it. It's just a talk amongst the town, amongst black people. We want reparations. Just know that, the first Exodus, we came out with reparations. The second Exodus, we going to come out with reparations with a mighty and a strong arm, a strong right arm. You know what I'm saying? The same spirit that led us out of that wilderness is going to lead us out of this wilderness. All right. So this is Psalms 105 and verse 37. He brought them forth also with silver and gold, and there was not one feeble person among their tribes. So when they was going to the wilderness to dwell in tents, right, they had a lot of silver and gold. They was taken care of. They had to put, their hands to work. We know that a Proverbs 31 nation works willingly with their hands. So they had to build these tents. But he made sure, he showed mercy to the thousands of them, not hundreds, but the thousands of them that kept his commandments and loved him. Right. So if we keep his commandments and we love him, right, when we're Most High will dwelling in tents and tabernacles and booths in the wilderness, right, He's going to take care of us. But we got to keep the commandments, though. Wisdom of Solomon 19:6. Right? All throughout the Bible, you know, these prophets, the servants of the Most High God, they always, you know, kind of reflected on coming out of Egypt, because that was a major thing that the Most High did. That's like his stamp, right? But we know he's getting a new stamp. He's going to get a new stamp pretty soon. You know what I'm saying? So Wisdom of Solomon, right? Wisdom of Solomon 19:6. Solomon, he going to reflect on coming out of Egypt, going into tents. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what we celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles for. Tabernacles is nothing more than tents. Salakia. Wisdom of Solomon 19:6. For the whole creature in his proper kind was fashioned again anew. Right? Talking about who? The Israelites. We was fashioned again new. Right? When we took that Passover and we were being saved out of Egypt. Serving the peculiar commandments that were given unto them. What was the commandments given unto the Israelites? The Passover. Right? They kept the Passover to a T. Right? Bitter herb. Eat it in haste. You know what I'm saying? With your shoes on your feet. Roasted lamb, not in a crock pot. They followed it to the T. They followed the commandments. A peculiar commandment that were given unto them, that children might be kept without hurt. They knew if they kept this commandment, nobody was going to be hurt. Right? It didn't matter if you had a disease, an illness. It didn't matter if you was pregnant. It didn't matter if you had little infants. It didn't matter if you know what I'm saying, you had multiple wives. That's a different story for another day. It didn't matter, man. Your whole family, everybody, if you kept the commandments, you was not hurt. You know what I'm saying? And they knew that. Of a surety, they knew that. All right. So from there, let's go to Slakia. Right? Slakia. Let's read verse 8 as well. Right? This is Wisdom of Solomon 19:8. Wherethrough all the people went that were defended with thy hand, seeing thy marvelous strange wonders. Right? So when we Most High will, when we headed to the wilderness and to make our new tabernacles, our new tents, our new booths, right? Most High's will, guess what? We're gonna see marvelous acts again. We're gonna see what does it say? Strange wonders. We're gonna be wondering how this stuff is happening, right? Keeping the faith. As long as we keep the commandments. If we keep the commandments, like they say, nobody's gonna be hurt. Nobody's gonna be hurt. So we just reflecting back on what happened before and how we got to the first tabernacles, right? The tents in the wilderness, the booths in the wilderness, right? The cottages in the wilderness, right? And we was taken care of with great spoil. All right. So let's go to Slakia, where I want to go next. All right. So yeah, let's talk about this supposed second Exodus, right? Because we know that the Most High God said we're not going to remember him for that first Exodus coming out of Egypt. We're going to remember him for the second Exodus, when he gathered his people from the North Country, right, from the Caribbeans, right, from all four corners of the earth, right? He said we're going to remember him for that. So I always like to ask people all the time, you think we're going to celebrate the Passover in the kingdom? I don't think so. I'm led to believe that we're not going to celebrate the Passover in the kingdom, because he said we'll no longer remember him for that act. We're going to remember him for a new act, right? So blessed are those that get to see that day. We got a lot of brothers who, you know what I'm saying, through their faith, they've already left the country. You know, they've already left. They went to Egypt. They went to Israel. They went to Africa. But why wouldn't you want to be a part of that second Exodus? Why wouldn't you want to be a part of the thing that he said was going to be better, right? It's going to be greater. It's going to be more marvelous than what he did in Egypt, right? When he led them out and they dwelt in tents, right? Because he finna lead us to the second wilderness, you know what I'm saying? Before the kingdom comes. Why wouldn't you want to be a part of that and see these marvelous acts and strange wonders? All right. So let's talk about the second Exodus. First of all, let's get Jeremiah 16. We'll go to Jeremiah 16 where he said that. right? So you're not believing out of my mouth, but you believing out of the mouth of God. Jeremiah 16. And we're going to go to Jeremiah 16, verse 14. Right? Jeremiah 6. This is Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 14. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. He said no more. It's no more going to be said that, hey, look, I split the Red Sea. That's a mighty act, right? That's a terrible act. You know, we serve a terrible God, terrible and great. You know what I'm saying? And he said, no more will it be said. That means nobody's going to be saying it no more. Hey, like I just said, too, all these prophets always reflected back on coming out of Egypt. That's powerful. But he said after this act, hey, no more, nobody's going to be talking about that no more. Why? Verse 15. But the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north. We know that we in the land of the north. And from all the lands, whether he had driven them. Hey, just not the land of the north, but all the four corners of the earth, from the four winds. You know what I'm saying? In Brazil and Africa and Canada, you know, and China, Asia Minor. You know what I'm saying? From all four corners of the earth, right? And from all the lands whither he had driven them, and I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. Hey, when we get to that land, you know what I'm saying? We're going to have to make tents. We're going to have to dwell in tents, tabernacles for a little bit till, you know, we get the place built up right. Them streets of gold don't just say poof. They're there. The mansions don't say poof and they're there. That's not a mythological book. You read the book of Ezekiel, it says that the Gentiles, it says that the other nations are going to be bringing us their forces and building those things, right? We got to make these precepts jump out the book. We got to make them come to life. You know what I'm saying? Like we came out of Egypt with great spoils going into those tents, those tabernacles. We're going to come out of this Egypt with great spoils. You know what I'm saying? Going to the wilderness and tabernacles and tents, right? Second Exodus. Let's go to Isaiah 60 and 8, right? Get some prophecy in here. Let's get some prophecy. Isaiah chapter 60, verse 8. Right? What does that say? Who are these that fly as a cloud and as the doves to their windows? Hey, look, there's double to which that is. When I read this, to me, I like to be more straightforward. I like to make things realistic for the people I teach. You know what I'm saying? So when I read this, I say, who are these that fly as a cloud and as the doves to their windows? Do doves have windows? Nah. Do clouds have windows? Nah. But what looks like doves? Airplanes. Airplanes look like doves. Airplanes have windows. Airplanes are in the clouds. It's a rave about everybody getting passports. I'm led to believe, because everybody can't buy a passport, but I'm led to believe, you know what I'm saying, Most High will, when we come out of here with great spoils, they just going to be giving us free tickets and we getting on them planes and we heading back to the motherland. You know what I'm saying? Or we heading up out of here before destruction come, right? Some people may believe that this is talking about us being beamed up as doves, us being beamed up in the chariots, you know what I'm saying, into the clouds. Hey, to each his own. But verse 9, surely the isles shall wait for me and the ship of Tarshish first. First of all, if you know anything about the ship of Tarshish, that's the isles of the Gentiles in the book of Genesis, right? The book of Genesis tells us the isles of the Gentiles is the ships of is Tarshish, right? The Mediterranean Sea, all that Mediterranean port right there, right? Where, you know what I'm saying, where basically Rome is, or Rome was, you know what I'm saying? All of that right there is where the Gentiles, that's the isles of the Gentiles. So it says, surely the isles shall wait for me. The isles of what? The isles of the Gentiles shall wait for me. What are they waiting for? Right? Salakia. Where was I at? 10. No, I was at 9. Surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish, the ships of that port, right, in Tarshish, the Mediterranean Sea, to bring thy sons from far their silver and their gold with them, right? They're bringing us their silver and their gold, and they're bringing us, you know what I'm saying? We're coming out with great spoils, just like in Egypt. This is in the Bible. The second Exodus is in the Bible. Ships, planes, whatever you want to call it. Hey, look, and their gold with them. Hey, check this out. We came over here on ships, and it says they're going to take us back to our land on ships. That's righteous judgment. You know what I'm saying? That's righteous judgment, right? Salakia. The gold with them unto the name of the Lord thy God and to the Holy One of Israel, because he hath glorified thee, right? He's going to glorify us. So, hey, look, when we get to that second wilderness, we're going to come out with great spoils, and more than likely, until things get set up, more than likely, we're going to be dwelling in tents and tabernacles, right? And booths, right? So let's get this. First of all, this is what tabernacles is in the Hebrew, right? If you're looking at that word tabernacle or booth in the Hebrew, is sukkah, right? SOOKKAW. And that's H5, Hebrew 5:521. Booths, cottage, covert, pavilion, tabernacle, or tent, right? Booths, cottages, coverts, pavilions, tabernacles, and tents, right? So that's what the Feast of Tabernacles is. When we dwell in cottages, booths, tents, you know what I'm saying? So we can get a good example in Nehemiah, right? Because Nehemiah, you know, he was trying to rebuild Jerusalem. He prayed and fasted, and the king let him go back to bury his father and to rebuild his city. You know what I'm saying? So when he went back to rebuild his city, he was getting stuff in order, and he was looking into the book of the law. You know, he was studying the precepts. Through that precepts, we get understanding of who we are. He was studying the precepts, and he came to find out that our people celebrated the Feast of Tabernacles, the Feast of Booths, the Feast of Tents, right? So if you don't have a tent, go ahead and make you a tent. Go ahead and get some sheets. Go ahead and do something related to a cottage or whatever. Just, hey, don't sleep in your bed. You know what I'm saying? Pretend like you dwelling in tents, like you are, like our forefathers and our foremothers did, right? We dwelt in tents in multiple occasions, right? When in the book of Maccabees, when he said, hey, all those who are zealous follow me, and they dipped and they went into the wilderness. Also here in Nehemiah, right, when they was rebuilding the city of Jerusalem, right, what happened? In the walls, they didn't have nowhere to stay. Well, they did have somewhere to stay, Salakia. But when he saw this, that our people kept this, they went out and they made booths, right? So we're going to read that real quick. Nehemiah 8 and 14. This is the book of Nehemiah, chapter 8 and verse 14. And they found written in the law, Salakia, I'm going to read verse 13. And on the second day were gathered together the chief of the fathers of all the people, the priests and the Levites, unto Ezra the scribe, even to understand the words of the law, right? And we know when we read second Esdras, you know what I'm saying, it said that he had, I think it was first Esdras actually, it said that Esdras had a skill of writing down things in the law, right? Of writing down things in the law and not omitting anything. You know what I'm saying? He was very talented at that. So we can see right here, it's linking up. It says Ezra the scribe, even to understand the words of the law. So verse 14, and they found written in the law, which the Lord had commanded by Moses, right? So they went to the law, right? Because we know that the law is not passed away, not one jot, not one tittle. Shalom, shalom. And they found written in the law, which the Lord had commanded by Moses, that the children of Israel should dwell in booths in the feast of the 7th month. So here we are in the 7th month in the holy day season, celebrating the Feast of Booths, just like Nehemiah did, just like all the people that Nehemiah had come back to Jerusalem and had helped build up Jerusalem in the walls, right? Just like the people in the first wilderness coming out of Egypt, we're doing the same thing, remembering ourselves just like they're doing here, looking into the book of the law on how to keep the feast in the 7th month, the Feast of Tabernacles, held on the 15th day, right, for 7 days, right? Here it says booths. So it might throw you off if you're not Bible savvy, if you're not scripture savvy yet, you know, you like, man, booths. I don't remember reading about a Feast of Booths. but booths just means tabernacles. Like we said, it's H5521. Booths, cottage, covert, pavilion, tabernacle, tent. You know what I'm saying? So, look what they did, right? Verse 15, and they should publish and proclaim in all their cities and Jerusalem, saying, go forth unto the mount and fetch olive branches and pine branches and myrtle branches and palm branches, right? Because you get the palm branches, got the palm leaves on it. You put the palm leaves on top of the olive branches, on top of the myrtle branches, right? And what happens? You got yourself a tent of thick trees to make booths, as it is written, right? So Nehemiah looked into the law. He remembered himself and his forefathers, and he knew that he was tasked with a job to make sure that Israel walked in the way of their forefathers, because it was a blessing that the king let Nehemiah go back to rebuild Jerusalem. So he took heed that the Most High God blessed him to do that, and he tried to walk in the ways of his forefathers by keeping the law as it is written, like it says, right? So they're keeping the Feast of Booths, just like we're keeping the Feast of Booths, right? We got young and old, and sleeping on the floor might not be comfortable, but hey, sometimes we put in uncomfortable situations, right? As a woman in travail to get that deliverance. You know what I'm saying? We won't be sleeping or dwelling in tents forever, Israel. You know what I'm saying? We won't be in the wilderness forever. The mansions is going to come. The streets of gold are going to come. We just got to be as a woman in travail, right? The scripture address to that was Nehemiah 8. I started at 13 and I went to 15, right? I'm going to go to 17 and 18 too, though. This is verse 17. And all the congregation of them that were come again out the captivity made booths, right? So everybody that came out of captivity, hey, look, we going to be coming out of captivity, right? It says all the congregation of them that were come again out of captivity made booths. I'm dwelling in a booth right now. That's prophecy. And when we come out of this as a mighty nation with spoils, just like they did in the first Exodus, right? When we come out of this and go into the second wilderness, we're going to be making booths. We dwell on Romans 15:4, right? The things written aforetime was written for our learning. We got to learn this before we go to the wilderness, so we're prepared. That's why it says wisdom and knowledge will be the stability of thy times. And all the congregation of them that were come again out of captivity, out of America, out of Brazil, out of Africa, certain places, out of Asia Minor, certain places, right? Made booths and sat under the booths. That's why I'm giving a live right now under a booth, under a tent. You know what I'm saying? We got to remember ourselves and keep these things as it's written, because not one jot or one tittle shall pass from the law. So we got to go to the law, right? Because it ain't passed yet. For since the days of Jeshua, the son of Nun, unto the day had not the children of Israel done so, right? For a long time, we forgot who we were. And it was only the so-called white man practicing the Feast of Tabernacles. We was practicing, Halloween, Thanksgiving, right? Fall break. You know what I'm saying? That's what we was practicing. We wasn't keeping the feast days, just like them. It says they had not, Salakia, had not the children of Israel done so. They haven't done it in so long. They're coming out of captivity, right? Until they remembered themselves, right? And there was a very great gladness. 18. Also, day by day, from the first day unto the last day, he read in the book of the law of God. Hold up now. So, this is not a commandment, right? But as we read, because everything's inspired by God and everything is written for our learning. As we read what our forefathers did, Nehemiah was a forefather. Ezra was a forefather, right? Everybody that was here in Jerusalem are forefathers and foremothers. It says, what did he do? Also, day by day, it's a 7-day feast. So each day of the seventh day, the first day, the second day, all the way to the seventh day, from the first day until the last day, it says he read in the book of the law of God, right? So we got to read these. We got to read the Torah, the Tanakh. You know what I'm saying? We got to read the law and the prophets. And they kept the feast 7 days. And on the 8th day was a solemn assembly according unto the manner, right? They went to the law and they kept it to the T. And they even learned more about the law during the feast day, right? But remember what I said, you can't fast on this. You can't fast. It's a feast day. Why would you fast on a feast day, right? So if you normally fast during the week, hey, use this day, to be merry. You don't have to fast this week. Remember our foremothers and our forefathers who were in the wilderness, who was taken care with manna. They was not starving. When they asked for food, guess what? The Most High God gave them food. They might have been a little too greedy. You know what I'm saying? And he had to give them quail, and a gift destroyeth the heart. So they had to get punished for that. But we learn from their mistakes, right? We know we don't ask for physical food as much as we ask for spiritual food in our tents, in our tabernacles, right? So let's get, so with that being said, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to go back to Leviticus 23 and 34. On the Feast of Tabernacles, right? Hey, Shalom, Miles. Hey, that just made me remember too, even if you in college, if you can't get no tent, get on the floor, man. I know y'all got like some chairs in y'all room or a couch or something. Hey, look, you might look a little crazy, but go ahead, throw a sheet over yourself, you know what I'm saying? And dwell in a tent, a booth, or a cottage. You know what I'm saying? Pretend you're in the wilderness. You might even go sleep in your car in the parking lot. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's a stretch or not, but hey, we got to keep these law, statutes, and commandments and go over the law, right? As Nehemiah and the people in Jerusalem did, go into the book of the law on these 7 days, right? Get yourself well studied on these 7 days. Come out learning something, right? Pray for revelation before you read and come out learning something. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 23 and verse 34. Read, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of this 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord. 35, it gets more detailed. Right, make a fort in the dorm room. You know what I'm saying? Make it fun. Hey, have fun with it. It's a feast. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of the 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord. Like I said, everybody in Israel today, as we're remembering ourselves, might keep it a different day, but it's 5 days after your Day of Atonement, because your Day of Atonement is the 10th day. This is the 15th day, right? 35. On the first day shall be an holy convocation. Holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. Hey, if it has to do with buying or selling, you can't do it. On the first day, it should be a holy convocation. What's a holy convocation? A set apart convocation. What's a convocation? A set apart gathering, assembly, synagogue. You know what I'm saying? Like Nehemiah did. They was talking about the law, but they did it every day. They dwelt in booths and they had a holy convocation every day. That's not a commandment, but if you want to test your zeal and you got brothers and sisters that want to do that, hey, go ahead. Hey, and we kind of doing that now. Because I know brothers is going to be all throughout, Instagram, YouTube, on videos. You know what I'm saying? Must come as little children. Y'all remember how to make blanket forts. Still don't play, right? Hey, you got to come as a little child in this thing. You can't be, hey, just because you 60, just because you 55, that don't mean you can't get up in a tent. That don't mean you can't make a fort by your bed. You know what I'm saying? You got to come as a little child. That's how he take you. You might tell somebody in the world, hey, we're celebrating the Feast of Tabernacles, right? And for some reason, the Most High always set it up to where, family come in town, right? And they got to see you being weird in your tent. You know what I'm saying? Somebody FaceTime you, they acting like what you doing. Now they really think you in a cult. You know what I'm saying? Because you in a tent outside or you in a tent in your house. They think you childish. You know what I'm saying? But we become fools for Christ's sake. Right. And we keep these law, statutes and commandments because we going to be prepared in the wilderness. Right. You know what I'm saying? We might have sisters, brothers that's not in the truth and they might think you crazy. Friends. You know what I'm saying? You might post it on your story. They be like, are you in a tent? Why are you in a tent? Where you get that out the Bible? You know what I'm saying? They don't take it serious. We tell them we live by the Bible. You know what I'm saying? All right. So where was I at? Yeah, so I was at 35. On the first day shall be in holy convocations. Ye shall do no servile work in it. This is how long now? Camping trips during the year, but now they think you're crazy. Hey, look, you would look forward to them camping trips. You know what I'm saying? And now you're too old for them. So stuff that you enjoy, you don't enjoy it no more. Come on now, get under that tent, read your Bible, right, and enjoy the truth. Enjoy being a babe in the truth, because we all babes in the truth. We all remembering ourselves right now, right? 36. 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. On the 8th day shall be in holy convocation. Okay, so look, that 7 days where you should offer a offering made by fire. Look, we know who our offering is. You know what I'm saying? You can light a candle and you can get into this book of the law like Nehemiah did. You know what I'm saying? And that would be your offering, right? Sacrificing your time, being a living sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? Sacrificing your time, your effort. You know what I'm saying? To read the book of the law, right? The law and the prophets, right? The Torah, the Tanakh. You know what I'm saying? Get well versed. 7 days shall ye offer a burnt offering unto made by fire. Hey, look, that fire is the spirit too. You know what I'm saying? When you get into the spirit, right? It says this law is spiritual. People say I'm spiritual. The book tells us this law is spiritual. Hey, Christ said, hey, look, the words I speak to you, they are spirit, right? So check this out. Let's give this offering made by fire by getting into this book of the law like Nehemiah did. On the 8th day shall be a holy convocation. What's a holy convocation? A set apart gathering. You know what I'm saying? In the world, we like to call it church. You know what I'm saying? But we know now it's something deeper than that. All right. Unto you, and ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. It is a solemn assembly, right? So it tells you what a holy convocation is. A solemn assembly. A set apart assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein, right? If it has to deal with buying or selling or making money, you're not supposed to be doing nothing that day, right? And like I said earlier at the beginning of the video, you know, some brothers started it Sunday, some brothers starting it today, some brothers, you know what I'm saying, starting it next month, right? But hey, as a nation, as long as we keeping these things, right, we should be proud that our brothers and our sisters is keeping it, no matter when they're keeping it, right? So, why should we go into the book of the law? Salakia. Why should we go into the book of the law? Right? These 7 days like Nehemiah did. Right? Why is the law so important? Let's get into it. Right? What did Christ say? Right? Let's go to Matthew. Salakia. Let's go to Salakia, not Matthew. Let's go to Luke. Let's go to Luke, right? When the servant said, hey, look, good master. He said, why callest me thou good? Right? Luke 18 and 19. This is the book of Luke, chapter 18, starting at verse 19. Salakia. Excuse me. This is the book of St. Luke, chapter 18, starting in verse 19. And he said unto them, why callest thou me good? None is good save one, that is God. Right? It's only one good. That's God. Thou knowest the commandments. Right? Do not commit adultery. Do not kill. Do not steal. Do not bear false witness. Honor thy father and thy mother. Hey, look, somebody asked him how he could inherit the kingdom of God, and he went straight to the law. Why did he go straight to the law? He ain't come with new commandments, right? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, they all give their perspective a different way, but it's the same perspective, right? So some of them just, you know, summed it up in two. But here he went straight for the head. He went straight to the 10 commandments. Do not kill, do not steal, don't bear false witness, honor thy mother, thy father, don't commit adultery, right? He went straight to the law, right? Why did he go straight to the law? Because if you don't have the law, you in chaos, you in darkness. That's what darkness is chaos. What is the opposite of chaos, right? What is the opposite of darkness? Light, right? You got to have a law. Law is the opposite of chaos. You can't be lawless in this thing, right? So let's get that real quick. Proverbs 6 and 23. This This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 6, verse 23. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 23 reads, "For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is a light, and the reproofs of instruction are the ways of life." So here we see that the law is the light. So why did Nehemiah go into the book of the law? Because it's the light. You know what I'm saying? And they was in chaos. They was trying to reestablish something. That's chaos. There's no law yet. So they got to go into the book of the law to get the light, to shine it on all the dark areas so that they can get in line, so that they can walk in the ways of our fathers, because that's how the Most High God wants us to walk. You know what I'm saying? In the light. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to read that again. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 23. "For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is a light, and reproofs of instruction are the ways of life." Right. So if you have a Salakia, if you have a lamp, right, the commandments, right, you have a lamp, right. Sometimes you can have a lamp, right, and there's no light bulb in it. So you might have a lamp, you might be doing the commandments, but there's no light. Now, that would be like for people, you know what I'm saying, that's just doing it for vainglory. But if you're doing the commandments with the spirit, you know what I'm saying, and you got the light and you understand the law, right, now you got the law. So wherever you turn that light on, you know what I'm saying, you got both. You're not going to contradict the commandments when you turn the light on, because the law is the light under the lamp. You know what I'm saying? All right. So check this out. All right. So we know we go to the law because it's the light. We know we go to the law because Nehemiah said so. We know we go to the law. Why? Because Yahushua, who the world knows as Jesus, right? He went to the law when somebody asked him, what we must do to get eternal life, right? A lamp with no bulb. What you got? You got a lamp with no bulb. You got darkness. You got chaos, right? So you got to have that light. You have to have the law. Not one jot or tittle shall pass. You know what I'm saying? So we're dwelling in these booths, getting understanding in the book of the law, just like Nehemiah did. Right. And when we was in the first wilderness, in tents and booths, what happened? Moses was giving the children of God the light. He was giving the children of Israel the law in the first wilderness. Right. So we see over and over again, the Most High God, as a woman in travail, puts us in the wilderness, you know what I'm saying, to make us feel uncomfortable in a situation as he goes before a flock. You know what I'm saying? To put us in these uncomfortable situations so he can fine tune us as gold is tried in the fire, give us his law to see if we're able to walk in the light. You know what I'm saying? And so once you're able to walk in the light, then you get the mansions. Then you get the golden sidewalks and curbs. You know what I'm saying? All right. Salakia. So, so with that, I'm going to say, you know what I'm saying, I hope somebody was edified. Some books to go into, you know, I know Exodus 20 is a no-brainer for the law, you know what I'm saying, especially the 10 Commandments, but you can go into, you know, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, you know what I'm saying. All those give you the law as well in different forms, right? So with that, I'm going to say shalom. I hope you guys have a good holy day season, right? I hope you guys have a good Feast of Tabernacles, Feast of Booths, right? Let's get into this thing. We should all, I think most of Israel, by the way, I think most of Israel is celebrating throughout this week. I think it's going to intertwine through this week somehow. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, look, be watchful too. Be watchful, pray, and keep your eyes on the news. You know what I'm saying? Be occupied in prophecy. So with that, I'm going to say shalom, shalom, peace.